Really, I like you, Pastor. You know why? He always makes me laugh and smile and enjoy life. He's very fun-loving, as you already know. But he's also very serious with the Lord and also in the work of the Lord. So, Pastor, thank you for inviting me here. It's always a pleasure for me to be with Pastor Ellie and to be here with you today on your 26th anniversary. Congratulations. It's time to give thanks. In fact, if there are two concepts I'd like for us to understand together, it is this concept. We need to put together two words. And these two words are joyfulness and thankfulness. Anniversaries like this are great opportunities to celebrate and to have joy. But I think the first thing that must come to our mind when we celebrate is not just to have joy, but to also give thanks. So we give thanks for the 26 years at TICC. And then we also thank God for His goodness and His love to TICC. But here's something I'd like for you to remember. It is not joy that makes us grateful. It is gratitude that makes us joyful. Let me put it another way. It is not happy people who are thankful. It is thankful people who are happy. And I hope we don't forget that. It is not so much how many things we have or how many things we don't have. It's really how thankful we are with what we have. And even with the things that we don't have. Thankfulness is so important. So for our session today, I'd like for us to look at 4 reasons why we need to be thankful. Why it's great to be grateful. And if there's any takeaway I'd like for you to bring with you after our time together, it is this, that gratitude is the response to the revelation of God. Get it?
Got it.
Okay, what in the world just happened? When I ask you, get it, you will tell me, got it, and I will say, good. Get it?
Got it.
Good. I'd like for you to remember that gratitude is the response to the revelation of God's greatness. It is because God is great. That's why we can be grateful. But unless God reveals who He is to us, we cannot respond to who He is. And because God says, this is who I am great. Don't forget that. That's why we can say, Lord, thank you. It is the greatness of God that makes us grateful. So what we will do in our time together is to look at a thanksgiving psalm. This is found in Psalm 118. Now, if you look at this psalm, it is a beautiful, joyful, festive celebration. You can imagine with me a group of people, the people of God called Israel. They were on a journey. They were going together. And as they go together, they were celebrating. They were joyful. They were thankful. And so you can imagine with me as they travel, they are triumphant in that procession. We see indicators of that in verses 19, 20, and 27. The words say, open for me the gates of righteousness. I will enter and give thanks to the Lord. This is the gate of the Lord through which the righteous may enter. There seems to be a gate that they are moving toward as they have their procession. With bows in hand, join in the festal procession up to the horns of the altar. It's very important. They were not doing this individually. They were doing this together because they see how great God is together. So let me remind you about an important thing. It is this. There is always, always, always something to be thankful for. Can you tell the person beside you and say that statement with all your heart? There is always, always, always something to be thankful for. I hope you don't come to a point in your life when you say, oh, I don't have any blessing anymore. I run out of good things to say thank you for. No, there's always something. And we should be intent in doing that. Michael Watson said, you will never get what you want until you are thankful for what you have. You want to have more? Thank God for what you have now. That's the first step to have more. Because if God sees that you do not appreciate Him for what He already gave you, how can He be assured that you will be thankful for the things that you don't have yet? No matter how great or greater it is. So what we'll do together is to be able to say, Lord, what are the 4 reasons for us to be grateful based on Psalm 118? And the first thing is to give thanks to the Lord for His person. We don't thank God for what He gives. No. We don't give thanks to God for His blessings. First, we have to understand He is the God of blessings before we even appreciate His blessing. So, what is God like? What is His person like? That's where we begin. And what I find in this psalm, something so consistently beautiful. You see it at the beginning, you see it at the end, you see it right in the middle. Look at the invitation or the call to worship and say thank you to God. The psalmist says in verse 1, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. The call to give thanks is found in the beginning. The call to give thanks is also the way the whole psalm ends. It's the same wording, word by word. Verse 29, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. Now here's the beautiful thing about what He's doing. It's not just calling people to be grateful. He Himself is making a choice to be thankful, which is a very good pattern of life. In ministry, in bringing up our children, even at work, or being with the people we love. We don't ask them something we ourselves don't do. We can only give to others what we ourselves have. So what is He saying? I ask you to give thanks because I myself give thanks. We see this in the middle of the psalm. He says in verse 19, I will enter and give thanks to the Lord. He's not simply saying, hey, enter and give thanks. No, He says, I will also enter with you. And then He has, in verse 29, I will give thanks. I will give you thanks for you answered me. It's a personal thanksgiving that He offers with others. And then in verse 28, you are my God, I will give you thanks, for you are my God, and I will exalt you. Very good pattern of life. He asks others because He Himself does it. But we ask the question, what are we to be thankful for in relation to who God is? 2 things. But before I share with you what those 2 things are, if you were to give the first reason why you are to give thanks in relation to God's person, what answer will you give? Will you say, oh, because God is forgiving, because God is patient, God is understanding, God is so generous? Of course, these things are true about God. But look at the psalmist. He begins with the very core, with the very nature of who God is. He says, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. That's what summarizes the nature of God. God is good. That's why when we say God is good, people say
All the time.
all the time. And when we say all the time, we say
God is good.
because God is good all the time. But we ask the question, what does it really mean for God to be good? Very simply, He thinks and does for what is for our well-being, for our welfare. Everything that makes us grow, that is what's good for us. What changes us, what makes us develop in all areas of life, that's what God gives. It's for our good. Now here's the second thing that God tells about Himself. That's why we are to thank Him. Because it says His love endures forever. So the goodness of God, and then the love of God. And when we think of what it is that describes the love of God, it's really His commitment to show us He's loyal to us. His love is unconditional. There are 3 words that come to my mind when I think of God's love. First, it's unconditional. God loves me without me having to satisfy conditions. I don't have to perform and be acceptable in my performance before God loves me. No, even if I don't perform, God loves me. Even if I don't perform well, God loves me. It is not performance that is the basis of God loving me. It's unconditional. He gives it to me because He loves to give it to me. Second, God is not just unconditional in His love. God is also unselfish in His love. He doesn't love me because I can do something for Him. No. God loves me, period. I remember the time when I was still young. And I was in love with Hazel. And then I would say, Hazel, I really love you, even though you this, despite this thing. And then she cried. I thought she was touched. I thought she was moved. But the point was, she kept crying and crying. I think I said something wrong. So I said, honey, Hazel, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And then she said this, Hazel, and Narry, when will people simply say, I love you? Because it's not so much I love you that she understands. It's I love you even though you're like this. So it's the even though, this in spite of, or despite that I focus on. It's not simply because I love her. God's love is unconditional. God's love is unselfish. It's not for Himself. It's for our good. There's a third thing. God, when He loves, it's unending. It doesn't run dry. It doesn't run empty. It doesn't come to an end. But I think of God's love. He keeps loving. That's why I can give thanks. That's why you can give thanks. Now, when we were here in Canada, we were sent by our church from the Philippines to the church planting here 10 years ago. And we would have an opportunity to still visit the Philippines once or twice a year. About 5 years ago, when we would visit, we would see big billboards along the highway that would say, only call, only text, only rice. What in the world does that word only mean? Somebody said, only means unlimited. So that's it. That is what we are to be known for. We are to be known for the only love of God. It's unlimited. And my prayer is that you experience that through your heart, so that your heart says, thank you for your only love. Because of these two things, we give thanks. He is good, His love endures forever. That's why only, unending, it's beautiful. His love doesn't come to an end. And every time we will see the 4 reasons why God is worth giving thanks for, He always repeats it. Why? Because He wants us to remember it. And look at the first instance of God repeating what is important in giving thanks. The repetition is found in verse 2, verse 3, and verse 4. Now the way the repetition is presented is in the form of antiphony. Antiphony means a leader speaks, the people with him respond. So it's called responsive. Now, this is what we'll do. I will play the role of the leader. You will play the role of the laity, or the people. Get it?
Got it.
Good. So I will say it with all my heart. You say it with all your heart. Let Israel say,
His love endures forever.
let the house of Aaron say,
His love endures forever.
let those who fear the Lord say.
His love endures
So
forever.
that's the point. That's what He wants us to remember. He says it in verse 1. He repeats it in 2, 3, and 4. Very important. His love endures forever. So let's do a little extension of that, because it's the 26th anniversary of TICC. So let's do it together. I will do the leader role. You will do the people role. Let all the staff and leaders of TICC say,
His love endures forever.
let the people in this 26th anniversary say,
His love endures forever.
let those who fear the Lord in TICC say,
His love endures forever.
Here we go. I hope we just don't say it. We also show it. Not just today, but every day. And what I'd like to do, every time we are invited to give thanks, I'll give you time to actually apply it. Because what's the point of simply knowing without you doing something about it? So let's do that. But before we do so, let me emphasize that we don't only give thanks to God for the good times. We also give thanks to God for the bad times. Because God allows the bad for our good. So that we see the value of God's gift, not because He just does good things, but He allows bad things because they're for good. Remember Romans 8:28? But God causes all things, including the bad things, to work together for our good. Not all things are good, but He makes all things, including the bad, to work together for good. Because we love God, and we're called according to His purpose. This thing became very clear to me when I heard the story of Matthew Henry. Matthew Henry is a very prolific writer in giving commentary about the Bible. And when he was doing his devotional in the morning, he came across the need to give thanks to God. And so he prayed this way, Lord, may I be more thankful to you today, more than any other day. And so he went about doing his ministry, doing his writing of his commentary. And at the end of the day, it was night, and he had to walk back from his office back to his home. On the way home, he was stopped by a thief. And the robber got his wallet and everything in it. So when he went home, he wanted to end his day by applying what he prayed that morning. But Lord, how can I be more thankful to you today? Well, I was just robbed. But he said, okay, I'll still sit in my study and I will think of 3 things to thank you for. Number 1, he wrote in his journal, I thank you that even though this robber got all my money in my wallet, the money was not really that much. Lord, I need to still thank you for 2 more things. So, number 2, he wrote in his journal, Lord, thank you that even though the man got all my money, he didn't hurt me. Lord, I need one more. And then finally he wrote in his journal, Lord, thank you that I was the one who was robbed, not I who robbed. My friend, there is always something. Always something that you can thank God for. Now, if that's the story of Matthew Henry, that should be the story of our life too. So let me put this in application. I'll ask questions, usually to a number, and I'll ask you to do 2 actions, usually to a number. The first question is, how have you seen God's goodness to you? Personally, or as a family, or something that you were able to see and experience in school, or at work, or maybe even in church, in the first half of this year. Do you think of one? Just think. You don't have to say a lot. The second question I'd like to ask is, in what way, or maybe in what ways, did God show you His love in that instance, or in that incident? What did God tell you about His love? So as you think your answer for these 2 questions, I'd like you to start applying it. Take the time to thank God for His goodness. Just thank Him now. And then thank God also for His love for you. So let me open it in prayer, in thanksgiving. Just say quietly to God, just for His sake. Father, thank you that there are really so many reasons for us to give thanks to you, but we begin with who you are. Not so much about what we give. Because you're good. Because you love Him endures forever. Now tell God personally your individual thanksgiving about His goodness, about His power. Just say thank you in your own heart. because of you. Amen. But let's also try to do this corporately, especially as we celebrate the 26th anniversary of the ICC. I'd like to hear 3 people from among you. What is your personal thanksgiving to God because of TICC? What God has done? Okay, go for it. Let's get a mic. Make sure everybody. Okay. It doesn't have to be a whole paragraph. Just one sentence is good.
Hello. I'd like to thank God for making it possible for me to go and enroll in a personal support worker course and completed and graduated with a valedictorian. I also like to thank God for my extended church family. Everyone here has been such a wonderful blessing to me and my family. Thank you.
Okay.
I thank the Lord for bringing me into this church because here I feel that God is continuously renewing me, transforming me to be a better person or the best person that I could be. Thank you. I thank God for this church and the community because it has sanctuary peace.
If I had the time, or maybe as we talk to each other later, maybe we can share that answer as well to others. That there's always something to give thanks to God for His goodness and His love. Let's go to the next one. The second reason why we are to give thanks is because of His presence. We see this in verses 5 through 7. Now, here's the most important thing to understand in this passage. The presence of God is most important when we feel we are most alone. It's when we feel we are abandoned, we are left to ourselves, even as there's always want to avoid others. That's when we need the presence of God most. In other words, the presence of God always occurs most in the context of problem. Look at the context in verse 8, in verse 5. In my anguish I cried to the Lord, and He answered by setting me free. Anguish is extreme expression of suffering and struggle. And people can struggle and suffer extremely because of affliction. It can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be a combination of others. A person who goes through a problem in life, and what's most hurtful, it's not because I caused it myself. Somebody else did it. And because of that problem, I now go through my pain. Because of the problem, I did not pray. That brings anguish. And there seems to be a pressure that I stop this pain, but this pain stays. And the problem doesn't go away. I mean, that's when people feel they are anguish. Extreme expression of pain. Sometimes anguish can come not just from affliction, it can come from feeling alone. You can still feel alone in the company of many, because you don't feel that others are really here with you or for you. But if you feel alone, you have to see you're abandoned. Others are not really going to stay there for me. People avoid me, and people, as a result, I avoid. That can be the source of anguish. Another can be, I'm just anxious. I don't know what will happen next. I don't know if I can make it this day. As a result of that, I don't only feel anxious, I probably feel afraid. I'm not just alone, I'm afraid that I will stay alone. That makes me anxious. When people go through anxiety of life, it can lead some to become angry. How come this situation is here? How come others are not helping me? How come God is not helping me? But that is the context when he, in his anguish, cried to the Lord. And when he cried to the Lord, what did God show about himself? Again, the repetition is found in this passage, verses 6 and 7. The Lord is with me. Very beautiful. When you feel alone, God says you're not. That's why he's able to say, the Lord is with me. He says the same thing in verse 7. The Lord is with me. There was a 7-year-old boy who was playing with his toy train while he was riding in a real train. And it was evening, and there were strong winds, heavy rain came. And there was an old man watching the boy playing peacefully with his toy train. And so he was intrigued and asked the boy, aren't you afraid of the strong winds and the strong rain? And the boy said without missing a beat, he said, oh, I'm not afraid. Why are you not afraid? Because the engineer of this train is my dad. Boy, if you know God is with you and He's your dad, whatever strong winds, strong rains there are, he said, I don't need to be afraid. That's why the first thing he said, the Lord is with me, I will not be afraid. Nothing not good. I don't please people, I please my God, so if they don't like me, tell them God. That same boy, after he had to get off from the train because his dad still has to continue being an engineer, he was picked up at the station by his grandfather. And so on their way home, the grandfather wanted to test the boy. And so he asked, do you know how far we are to the house? And the boy said, I don't know. The grandfather asked another question, okay. Do you know where you are now? The boy said, I don't know. And so the grandfather said, it seems to me that you're lost. And the boy, without missing a beat, said again, I'm not lost, I'm with you. Smart boy. I pray you will not ever feel you're lost. Why? Sure, you're with God. That's it. And that's what he says. There is an attitude of confidence that results from that reality. And what is that attitude of confidence? I will not be afraid. There are two lessons related to this portion. The Lord's presence makes those who fear the Lord fear no one else. There's only one thing to fear. You need to fear the Lord. By fear means I reverence you, I respect you, I love you. And because I do, I need not fear. Tell the person beside you, you need not fear.
You need not fear.
Of course, there's no need to fear. There's no need to fear. Now the second lesson we learn is without the presence of God, then we have reason to feel alone. If you don't understand that God is with you, then be afraid. You can feel alone. Here's the second. It's also conviction of conviction. It's not just an attitude that says, I'm confident. No, there has to be conviction. Whatever happens, this is always true. God helps. Again, verse 7 says, the Lord is with me. He is my helper. That's the reason why we don't need to be afraid. That's the reason we don't have to feel alone. God will help me. I will not lose hope because God helps me. And the tendency of a person who sees there is no help is to find no hope. But God helps, so we have hope. He even says, I was pushed back and about to fall, but the Lord helped me. And we'll talk more about the next person or quality of God in the third that reinforces His presence. But the two lessons we learn is that God's presence dispels a sense of helplessness. Have you ever felt helpless before? I mean, no matter what you do, you can figure out something. You don't know what decision you need to make, or you don't know how to figure out where the next source will be for the bill payment. Or you feel no hope. Remember, God is with you. The second thing is that God helps us by giving us strength, joy, and salvation. How do I know this? Continuing in verse 14, the Lord is my strength and my song, He has become my salvation. When I know the Lord is with me because He helps me, therefore I can have strength, I can have joy. Like the way we sang earlier. Boy, I enjoyed your worship time. You have joy. Keep it up. Not just joy out there. There is redemption. There is being taken out of the pit. God will change. Not just my circumstances, God will change me. Because God will help me. One of the things I'd like for you to think through is to ask the question, when do you need God's presence the most? When are the times of your life you are tempted to say, I'm alone? That's when you need God most. What are those times in your life? The second question I'd like for you to think through is, what kind of help do you need from God now? It's good to be able to recall God is good, His love endures forever, because of what He's done in the past. But what about now? So here's the thing I'd like for us to be praying together in response to what you're thinking to these two questions. Would you say this aloud with me in prayer? 1, 2, ready, go. Say number 1. Lord, I know You're with me, and You'll never leave me nor forsake me in my time of need. Do you also say this as a form of prayer to God together? 1, 2, ready, go. Lord,
I need You and I need You now. I thank You in advance for Your help to me.
Amen. You know what's the difference between faith and thanksgiving? Thanksgiving says thank you to God after God answers prayer. Faith says thank you to God before He gives the answer to our prayer.
Amen. Amen.
That's why, even if the answer hasn't come yet, let me go to a third thing that we need to remember so that we become more thankful. We thank God for His protection. Now, when we sometimes are put to a place, okay, Lord, I know You're with me, I am not alone, there seems to be an expectation that things will become better. Because I already know You're with me. Sometimes God does that, and it's good. But sometimes, God chooses to add more problems. God chooses to bring more pain. God chooses to bring more pressure. Increases the anguish, the affliction, by being afraid, by being abandoned. And that's the same thing that happens here. If you go to the next portion, in verses 8 to 14, the context increased in suffering and sorrow. Look at verse 10, the first portion. All the nations surrounded me. Verse 11, the first portion, they surrounded me on every side. Verse 12, the first portion, they swarmed me like bees. What's happening here? It's not just one person against him. It's a group of many people against him. It's like they're assaulting him. They're attacking him to the point that I can't do anything much anymore. But that's to be understood. Because God wants you to understand more than His person and presence. When God allows more problems, He wants you to understand that He's the God who protects you. And how do we know that it's important to be protected by God? Look at the next part of each of these 3 verses. The continuation of all the nations around me is, but in the name of the Lord I cut them off. He repeats that same wording in the next part of verse 11 when he begins with, they surrounded me on every side, but in the name of the Lord I cut them off. And then he repeats it at the end of verse 12 when it begins with, they swarm me like bees, but in the name of the Lord I cut them off. Beautiful to remember that what changes our attitude is not somebody else's name, my name, the church's name. It's the name of the Lord.
Amen.
And if we ask, Lord, what do you really mean when you say the name Lord? Do I just call you by name like Yahweh? No. The name of the Lord refers to His very nature, His essence, and His character. But what is it about the character of God that makes us appreciate God more in the context of more suffering and sorrow? Here's the answer. the protection of God. You understand when there's a problem, there's pain, there's pressure, the presence of God. But what if there's more of it? You need the protection of God. And where do we see that? In verses 8 and 9. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in man. He repeats the same concept. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in princes. Not to trust in myself. Not even to trust in the best of people. With the best of intentions. Not enough. I have to do it by taking refuge in the Lord. When I say take refuge, it basically means I trust God and His protection. And His protection means the most when I am in danger the most. It's not when there is no danger that God protects me. Sometimes people have the misunderstanding that when God protects me, He doesn't allow me to be at risk. Because He protects me. We probably have the idea of a parent who wants to put a helmet on their 3-year-old son or daughter so that the son or daughter will not hit the wall with their head. That's not protection. We can never shield our children from any risk or danger, no matter how hard we try. We'll just be paranoid. Protection means that even in the face of risk and danger, we feel safe in the presence and protection of God. Protection is not so much the absence of problem, it's the presence of God in the midst of the problem. That's when I feel safe. There was all this peace. I don't have the answer earlier of the woman who said, well, God brings peace through this church. There was a certain museum that was known for a very big, beautiful painting. You can imagine this to the main feature of the museum. There are different paintings on the walls, but the one in front, it's only the focus and the feature of that room. It's entitled Peace. But if you look at that solitary painting, it looks everything except peace. There were strong winds, big waves on the waters. But why is this entitled Peace? Because you see, cut a corner in that portrait is a rock. And behind that rock is a bird nestled on its nest. That's protection. That's peace. Not the absence of strong winds and strong waves. No. It's the presence of a rock that protects the one who is nestled safe. God is our refuge. He is our shield. He is like a soldier or a sentinel guarding a person so that the person does not escape. Because if there is escape, there is anxiety. There is fear. But God said, I will protect you. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. And how in the world, I'll give you an example of how it doesn't make sense to me. But before that, let me share the story of God's protection to Robert Devereux. Robert Devereux was the second Earl of Essex in England. And he became a believer, a follower of Jesus, a disciple of Jesus, and yet people didn't like him because he was following Jesus. And so they were chasing him through the mountains. And he got so tired running away from them that he said, okay, I'll just go inside this cave and just wait for my enemies to come and get me. While he was waiting behind the mouth of the cave, suddenly there was a spider that started to weave a spider's web. And after that web was completed, the chasers, or the enemies, saw, okay, Robert isn't here because the convoy is still full. It's complete. Let's just go the other way and find him. And you know what he said right after the enemies left? This is what he said. A spider's web is so feeble, but with God protection, a web is like a strong wall. Boy, that's so right. Even the little feeble things in life, they can protect us if God chooses to. But sometimes you don't understand why God allows us to be chased by our enemies. Here's something I couldn't understand about God's protection. When I was driving from Scarborough on the way to Tyndale Seminary, I was going there because I was returning books that I used for ministry And it was a bright day, it was a sunny day, there was no heavy traffic. But I got into an accident. I was driving, going west at Finch, then before 404, I was trying to cross Cherokee Road. Suddenly there was a guy who decided not to wait for me. And he turned left. So it hit me on the left side of the car, and then I hit the post. What in the world is happening? I'm doing God's will. I'm going to a place that is a result of my ministry and the cause of my ministry. Then why did God allow this to happen? I wasn't doing good. I was not in sin. I was not disobedient. I was not running away from God. And then this happened. 2 lessons I learned when this happened. Number 1, that post is very strong and straight. You know what's happened to my car? This, what do you call the thing that
Airbag.
the airbag, thank you. It deployed. And so, but this one, it didn't stay away. The second lesson I learned is this, that God still has a purpose for my life. It was a very critical time in my life. I was turning 50. And I was thinking, Lord, can you still use me at 50? God said, I'm not done with you. Can you check if you're breathing? Can you just check if there's something? If you still have breath, God still has a purpose for you. God is not done with you.
Amen.
And He will protect you. Even if you feel unprotected. So let me ask you these 2 questions and then seek to apply it. Can you think of a time in TICC's life and ministry for the church to represent God? You know, when I look at your building, it's so beautiful. Maybe even before you got this building, there was something you sensed that God, Lord, I need your protection. Maybe you didn't think of that. Or maybe there's another occasion in the life of the church. Second question is, what lesson did you learn about God's protection? In my case, my car accident. Here's 2 application points. Thank God for that time of protection for me. How God protected this church. Maybe how God protected you. How God protected your family. And then number 2, share with someone the story of how God protected you and the church and what happened that you learned a particular important lesson. Like I shared with you about my story. Sometimes that's where you begin conversations about God. We share a story that seemed like, what? How did God be there? Here's the 4th and last reason why we're to give thanks to God. It's not simply because of His person. It's not simply because of His presence. It's not simply because of His protection. It's also because of His power. Now, this is my favorite part. There was not any more an addition of more problem, pain, and pressure. Oh, God changed the scenario. It's like a complete turnabout. When you go to verse 15, there is now the presence of shouts of joy and victory resounding in defense of the righteous. In other words, God showed up. He broke through. He didn't just change the circumstances, He changed the people. And God just said, I'm here, and I am here to stay. And look at the emphasis again. In verses 15 and 16, it continues, the Lord's right hand has done mighty things. It's not this church that's done mighty things. It's not the pastor who's done great things. It's not the leadership. It's not the volunteers. It's the Lord that has done mighty things. And look at the repetition. The Lord's right hand is lifted high. The Lord's right hand has done mighty things. When you think of what it means with the expression the Lord's mighty hand, it symbolizes His power. What does the power of God bring? 2 things. Victory and joy. At the end of the game, we win. That's the beautiful part. We may not be at the end of the game, but we know we're winning. And there's going to be joy. Let me go to a more down-to-earth application. How do I know that the power of God is at work? The answer is when He eventually answers prayer. And when that happens, there is fullness of joy. There are pleasures at His right hand. Look at verse 21. I will give you thanks for you answered me. You have become my salvation. I needed redemption. I needed help. You helped. You redeemed. And I thank you for that. He answered. And then he said, the Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. It's like watching God make waves. You know, our responsibility in life is not to make waves. This is a surfing metaphor. When you go to the beach, let's say in California, what do surfers do? They don't make waves. They wait for the waves to come. And what do they do next? They ride on the waves that they did not create. When God shows His power, He creates waves. Our responsibility is to be watchful. Where is God at work? I'll go there. What is God doing that shows His power? I will be pursuing that ground. It's not me making waves. It's God making waves. I watch what is done by God, and I ride on the wave that He creates. And so what do we learn from here? In verse 24, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Two lessons. The power of God in answered prayer leads us to thanks. God's power leads us to rejoicing in thanks. So let me apply this. What is your answered prayer from God lately? I prayed it's just this morning. I hope it was not just, oh, by the way, 10 years ago. What? That was not real to you after 10 years? I prayed it's just here today. And what is your prayer request? It's good to be able to say, Lord, I thank you. It's also important to continually say, I trust you. You've answered some, Lord, I need you again. I trust you for more. So thank God for your answered prayer and trust God for the answer to your prayer request, thanking Him in advance for His prayer. Remember the difference between faith and thanksgiving? Okay, let me say it. Thanksgiving is saying thank you to God after God answers the prayer. Faith is
Thanking God for the answer
before, even before He answers the prayer. Let me end by making this, drilling this to you. You already have a head start. Pastor Ellie is smart. He put the first part of the memory verse here. So you have visual reinforcement or retention. So give thanks to the Lord. But you need to also remember the rest of the verse. For He is good. His love
and endures forever.
This is what we'll do. Begin with the reference. You say Psalm 118:1. You can copy this portion. Give thanks to the Lord. And then complete it by saying,
For He is good. His love endures forever.
Say the reference again. Psalm
118 verse 1.
Get it?
Got it.
Good. So let's do it. Reference, content, reference. One to ready, go.
Psalm 118 verse 1. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever.
Where do we see it?
Psalm 118 verse 1.
Would you pray with me? Father, may we never get tired of giving thanks to you. May we always remember you when we give thanks to you, because you are good. Your love endures forever. May we always look up to you and to who you are as the basis of who we are and what we do. And my prayer for all of us is that we will never feel alone anymore. Because you're always with us. Always with us. You also are the God who is our shield. We take refuge in you. You may allow trials to come. You may allow pressures to come. You may allow pain to come. But Lord, we can feel safe in your presence, and we can get peace that you will see. And lastly, may we also see your power. When you answer prayer, when you change things, when you change us, may you in the next year and years of this church show that you are with this church. You are for this church. You are committed to protect this church. You are powerful in this place. And may the church be a witness to the community of who you are and what you can do when you are in us.